Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome. We are just going to get started right away. Thank you again for being here. My name is Jen Krava. I'm the Director of Learning, Grants, and Research here at Forecast Public Art. I am based on Dakota land and I'm coming to you from Northeast Minneapolis. One of the things that I do here at Forecast is manage our grant program, and I'm really excited tonight to have several of our grantees with you to talk about their work and their projects and their practice. We are recording this session and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. You will see a chat function and a Q&A. Please enter any questions that you have in either one of those, and we'll look at those at the end and do some Q&A at the end. I'm going to start by sharing just a little bit about Forecast, and then we'll jump into our first presenter. So Forecast is a nonprofit organization. We were started in 1978 by artists who were interested in working in public spaces. This grew from working project by project to helping others work with artists. You can see our mission on the screen here. All of the work that we do is through this lens. So our mission helps us make decisions and focus our work. We also align our work with our values. We believe in the just distribution of wealth, opportunity, and privilege. We believe in aligning with others, fighting for equity, justice, and human dignity. We believe in environmentally and culturally sustainable policies and practices. We believe in relationships of mutual investment between communities, sectors, disciplines, and professions. We believe in inclusive practices that invite and honor the full expression of people and place. And we believe that creating an equitable future requires bold imagination. At Forecast, we do three main things. The first is that we support artists who want to work in public space. So we offer grants to artists who are based in the geopolitical boundaries of the state of Minnesota and the Native nations that share the same geography to either do a public art project or for professional development or research and development activities. So all of our artists, our panelists here with us tonight, receive grants through that program. It's the only program of its kind in the country, and it gives us the opportunity to hear from artists about what they're interested in creating. All of our artists presenting their work tonight, again, were grantees in the program last year. We also offer workshops and trainings for both artists and those commissioning artworks to help them understand best practices and how to shape their work. Our longest running training is called Making It Public. It's a very practical, tactical workshop for both artists and arts admins to help them understand how to shift their practice, where to find funding, how to develop and respond to RFQs, what insurance is and how to get it, and more. The second thing that we do is partner and consult on public art and creative projects. We get asked all the time by people to help them find artists. A lot of people don't know how to find an artist, even though they want to work with one. So we provide technical assistance and support in facilitating equitable selection processes. We also offer technical assistance to both public and private partners, everyone from universities to libraries, DOTs, cities, counties, and more, to help them commission artwork, develop public art plans, and help them engage community members in their processes. And finally, we build local capacity, gather stories, and share research. We do this through our digital publication called Forward and our Change Lab. Both of these provide a platform for critical discourse and exchange among artists, curators, and other arts professionals, emphasize how artists can affect change within other sectors, and work to challenge the status quo in public art across the country in order to advance more equitable policies and practices. Our publication Forward is a digital publication, and this is something that is free, and all of these issues are on our website. Our latest issue is about monuments and memorials, but we have issues about artists and transportation, artists and community well-being, and more. And then our Change Lab is where we look at public art across the country and work to challenge the status quo. Many public art programs have been around for a long time and have outdated policies or could utilize an infusion of equity into their programs. So we work with research fellows to understand the status of public art so that we can build a collective policy platform that can affect change across the country. We work all across the country and the globe. These are the US locations where we have worked and been on the ground. And we've got a really awesome network of consultants and partners that we work with across the country. Our team members all bring different skills and perspectives to our work, and we bring people in and out of projects based on what is needed. A quick thank you to our funders. The Jerome and McKnight Foundations have been funding our grant programs for many years, so we appreciate their support and the ability to support the artists that are with us tonight. So let's jump in with our first guest, M. Jamison and Yonci Jameson. M. Jamison is an interdisciplinary record producer and musician based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Her practice centers the narratives of Black trans queer artists through record production, sound composition, scoring, and live performance support. Her collaborative compositions have been shown and performed at institutions such as the Walker Art Center, Park Avenue Armory, The Shed, Art Center College of Design, and Kunstraum Kreuzberg. M is the program manager of the Studio Arizema Incubator, a creative studio residency for Black artists of marginalized genders, women, trans femme, trans masc, and non-binary folks to deepen their craft in music production, engineering, and performance. And Yonci Jameson is a West African drummer, a bass clarinetist, a DJ, and a writer who's born, raised, and based in Minneapolis. By way of sound selection and performance and the pen and page, Yonci seeks to move bodies and stimulate minds in homage to Black queer traditions and in service of a liberatory praxis. Please join me in welcoming Yonci and M.
Thank you so much, Jen. That I was like prepared to give my own introduction, so thank you so much. It sounds so good. I was just saying to M, it sounds really nice, like when it's just laid out like that. So I really appreciate that. And I want to shout out the forecast team. We so appreciate the support this past year. We're gonna share screen, I guess, and just get into talking about our project.
Yeah.
So I'll do that right here. So yeah, Em, if you want to just take us through.
So last year, around this time, I believe it was January 27th, with support from Forecast and Public Functionary, we hosted Tens Talk, a conversation with Black trans femmes in music. We had from left to right, you can see Rel Lorenzen, Zora Gray, myself, M. Jameson, Camila Love, and then Yonci was moderating the conversation. This was in the Public Functionary 144 gallery space, and we kind of just, it was a space for all of us to talk about our experience making music in Minneapolis and around the country. It was, I believe, the first time something like this has happened in Minneapolis, which is a really great honor, but also, it was kind of a moment to reflect on the fact that this community has not been uplifted much in the past. So really trying to center the narrative on Black trans people, especially right now in our current administration that we're facing. Yeah, so these are just some photos taken by Bear Boy Photo, who is a Black trans photographer from the DMV area who's lived here for a few years now. And the event graphics were from Sati Varkis Mac. And yeah, everybody involved, really people near and dear to my heart, Nazi and I's hearts. And it was just a really beautiful event. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so this I want to again thank Forecast for really sort of catalyzing this conversation, and then also catalyzing the Studio Arizema Incubator program, which M currently operates out of Public Functionary, and this is the residency program for Black gender marginalized artists. And so just here was our sort of overview of that. And right now, currently, M has 4 artists in residence, which is really exciting. So they've been operating out of the studios, collaborating. I think you might want to talk about some workshops and opportunities that they've gotten into this year.
So I led a couple, intro to music production workshops. And we also had Francis Priya come in and teach a music theory and songwriting workshop. This coming year, we have some additional funding from Forecasts for like the early project grant. So we're gonna be doing like a more fleshed out 6-month long monthly workshop series. Yancy will be leading DJ workshop later on in the year. So really looking forward to that. And we're also going to be starting off this year with a end of the year retreat at Root Springs, trying to make that like a regular every year thing. I think people are really needing rest right now. So looking forward to getting that in the books.
Yeah, and I just want to say, hearing forecasts really spell out the mission and the value and visions. I really appreciate that they chose Studio Aracima and our project to fund. Because I know we all know, like, right now is such a wild and unpredictable, and it is a precedented time, I will say, but things are changing really fast, and it's just so, I don't know, it's affirming and inspiring and hope inducing to know that these projects still are receiving that broader support from our arts institutions. And, I want to sort of communicate an urgency. I was doing some research myself. I'm going to transition over here. This is the NEA website. And as you can see, they've updated their legal requirements and assurances of compliances to include these details that applicants are not operating programs that promote DEI, or applicants should not, the federal funds should not be used to promote gender ideology, whatever that means. So like we see like just the subjugation getting put into practice immediately. And I think that this project and this studio program happening when it did was like, I want to say so serendipitous, because we're just now really starting to see how just the institutionalized transphobia and all these different policies are being enacted. And so I think it's just really important. I just want to alert people, like, these things are not, they're getting closer, I should say. They're not, they are very much tangible in this moment. And so again, I just want to reiterate my thanks for Forecast for like really sticking through it and really like just committing to showing up for community. Both Em and I are born and raised Minneapolitans. We grew up doing art here. We were in community with so many artists who operate within Forecast and all of these different arts entities and institutions. So it just is really meaningful to see y'all continue to show up and continue to support these endeavors that are so important. And so that being said, like, we're going to need so much support. Like, we love Forecast, and we're also looking forward to seeing how community, attends to this moment in other ways. And we're really excited to continue collaborating and just finding more folks who are in solidarity, whether that be on an institutional level or an individual level. I want to say, like, this talk, like, so many people reached out, people who we haven't, like, we weren't super close with, and we've developed so many like long lasting relationships just because people were like, hey, can I help you guys get the food? Hey, can I set up chairs? So I think just, the hearth aspect, this warmth, familial, communal vibe was very present, and I'm really excited to like support Em in doing that with the next iteration of this residency. So that's Studio Aracima. And I just want you to tell us what the Aracima is, because I feel like that's a really special thing. And then
Okay, yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, but so when I was trying to find a name for this collective and, program, I was like, I was thinking of how to convey the fact that transness and gender fluidity is an inherent part of our world. And so I was kind of like I just looked up, I was like, trans plant. And this Aracima plant came up. And this is a plant that changes its sex every season in order to remain sustainable, to kind of like change with the seasons and be productive every year. So that was like that the name is beautiful, and it also just kind of um brings in this reality that transness is actually a part of our natural world. It's not a thing that has come along and ruined everything for everybody. Like, it's not necessarily a concept even, it's just a truth. And transition is a part of everybody's life. And yeah, so I really appreciate the support from Forecast, and I really hope to make Studio Aracima a long-lasting resource for community. This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see where it goes and how many people, and not necessarily how many people, but how it can affect the people's who it affects lives like very, very deeply.
Okay. Thank you so much. I also want to say before we get off, the talk that we did, the panel is available. If you go to studioarisema.org, you can just click this right here and listen to the talk and hear from folks. So please check that out. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Em and Yonci, for sharing your work and also for doing the very important work that you are doing. You are supporting a lot of community members, and congrats, Em, on another year of grant funding from Forecast. And I'm excited for you to be able to continue doing what you're doing. So thank you so much. I will drop the link to Studio Arisema in the chat just shortly here. All right, our next grantee, our next artist is Tahiel Jimenez Medina, who is an award-winning queer Colombian first-generation immigrant writer-director. In resistance to cultural erasure and imperial homogenization, Medina's poetic films preserve and recognize tender personal memories, fragmented identities due to trauma and migration, and the haunting revelations of our dreams, grounded in dedication to his beloved mama and migrant mothers who flee generational violence. Excuse me. Medina's visions reached national and international audiences through film festivals, including Palm Springs International Short Film Festival, Reykjavik International Film Festival, and Provincetown International Film Festival. He screens films on public local parking lots for his intimate community to gather and dream together. Recognitions include the Apichadpong Weerasethical Play Lab, the UFO Film Lab, the Jerome Fellowship, the Jerome Media Production Grant, and the McKnight Fellowship, among others. Welcome to you.
Thank you, Jen. Yes, it does sound really good when you read our introductions. We're gonna need to get you to other calls and other presentations. Thank you so much. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to and Yonci, who shared such their beautiful project and the urgency of our projects and our needs, and just truly, truly admire the other panelists on this call. So as Jen mentioned, my name is Tahiel, and I will be sharing a retrospective of my work up to this point, highlighting the projects that I feel most tightly represent my artistic voice. And through that, some themes will emerge. And the themes that Jen mentioned in my bio, those are very much alive in all of the pieces that I will talk about today. So I will share the PowerPoint. And so I'll start with, just realized that I may want to actually share my screen. So 1 second. As opposed to just, okay. Great. So I'll start with my first short film that the one that I consider my first. I made many films before this, but this is the one that I felt most closely aligned with my voice, and I started to feel more clear about my vision for film. So this film is titled El Sueño de mi Abuela, My Grandmother's Dream, and it's a story about immigrant grandmother's dream that foretells the disappearance of her granddaughter. It's a non-linear experimental narrative film. I shot it in Minnesota in a prairie where I was I was staying at a cabin that someone offered, and I felt really inspired, and I brought it was like a few friends, really like five, 6 people, and we made this film over the period of a couple days, because they were going to, something that inspired is that I heard that we're going to burn the field to renew the land, which is a traditional indigenous practice in many places. And I guess I'll just bring up that one of the reasons that the fires in California are so horrific is that those practices have been were banned in California, and that's why we're seeing so much devastation from fires. So El sueño de mi abuela, I'll just look at the time, so I go with El sueño de mi abuela. I'll share a few stills here. Like I said, it's a short narrative film, and it had its premiere at Palm Springs International Short International Film Festival, which is a very renowned film festival in the United States and the world. And this film was based on a lot of my work has to do with memory and preservation of memory, especially as someone who lives in the diaspora and was separated from a lot of memories and family connections back in Colombia. So this one memory that I have of my grandmother is that we slept together in a bed once, and I woke up and I told her my dream, and she said she had the same dream. And it's one of the very feeble and only memories that I have of my time with her during the time that I lived before coming to the US. And I'll show a small scene from it. Make sure this is showing well. Yeah.
Maya, ¿tú sabes una canción en español? No. ¿Quieres que te enseñe la ranita? Sí. La ranita es una araña pequeña. La ranita subió, subió, subió. Vino la lluvia y se la llevó. Salió el sol y todo se secó. Y la araña pequeñita subió, subió, subió.
Great. So that was a small scene from El Sueño de mi abuela. I'm gonna go back to. Oh, sorry. Uh-oh. Where is this? There we go. So I mentioned that's El Sueño de mi abuela, and that project was very small. We made it with, a small budget and just close friends. The second project that I will talk about is Dia Dia, which was a documentary I made for TPT PBS. And it tells the story of Colombian immigrants during the year 2020 at the intersection of COVID, the murder of George Floyd, and I felt it was an opportunity for me to connect to my community as someone who had mostly lived in the white suburbs of Minnesota. This was an opportunity for me to reach out to my Colombian community and connect with them and hear their voices through this tumultuous time. And the interviews were all shot from outside the window, mostly because, aesthetic reasons and also because of COVID. I didn't want to enter people's homes. I wanted to be mindful. So the situation also informed the film, and it broadcasted through TPT PBS to 35,000 homes in Minnesota. And it also went on to premiere at Provincetown International Film Festival. And yeah, I think it was an opportunity for me, for someone who had grown distant, away from my local immigrant community, to reach out and start to see different worlds. And a really beautiful friendship emerged out of this project that continues to nourish me up to today. Just gonna look at the time. Okay, so I'll just talk about the next project. So this was my the second short film. It's called My Mama Can't Swim, and you can start to see the repeating themes of motherhood, grandmotherhood. And so this is a story about an immigrant mother and son that reconnect after many years of being separated in Minnesota, and they spend a day by a lake, like the first day that they shared together. And it's a story about the two of them trying to form a bridge after the separation that they experienced, and kind of meeting each other again as different people. And it still has not been released. And I also want to start naming that this project, along with the next couple of projects, were supported by Forecast as part of this research to connect with my mom and my family and start to understand these stories that made us. So the next 3 films have all been funded through the cycle of the Forecast grant that I received, and I'm very, very grateful to Forecast. I will also say that this was one of the first projects where I had a sizable crew, and I began to really understand what it means to be a director on set and what it means to have like a full team and work in a more established process. And so the next film that I made is called Lengua. It was supported by Forecast, Jerome, and the UFO Short Film Lab in New York. That's also supported by the Brooklyn Museum of Brooklyn Academy of Music. And Lengua is about a Colombian immigrant boy navigating his first day of school in the US and speaking English, navigating those linguistic barriers, as well as it's a portrait of Colombian immigrant identity in the Midwest and specifically in Minnesota. And I started to really understand my perspective in storytelling and my skill set in making this film. And it's also based on a personal experience that I had coming to the US and feeling really anxious and ashamed of the way that I spoke English. And I was able to revisit those memories, and through all these projects, film has helped me heal by revisiting these memories and re-experiencing them by recreating them and reliving them and creating new meaning out of them. And so this was one of those moments. And this is our cast member, Juan David, who was absolutely amazing, and also a non-actor. I tend to work with everyday people because I feel like they tend to embody the lives and stories that we don't usually see on cinema. This is another screenshot of the film, and I will skip the trailer, but it can be found on my Vimeo page. And this film is set to premiere in Colombia's most important film festival in April of this year. It's the Cartagena Film Festival, and it's gonna be a really beautiful and powerful experience for me to go back to my country through the making of my art. And the last project I will talk very briefly about is also funded by Forecast and by the UFO Short Film Lab. And the film is titled Soñar no cuesta nada, which is a saying in Spanish, an idiom that means it doesn't cost anything to dream. And it's about an immigrant mother living away from her son in New York. And it's similar to films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where there's a sci-fi element, but it's very lo-fi. So there's not a big gimmick or big special effects. but the sci-fi world lives within these small apparatuses or machines. And so in this universe, the main character finds a machine where she can dream with her son, who she's living away from. And yeah, I will conclude my talk. But thank you so much to Forecast. Thank you to the panelists, and thank you so much for continuing to support my dreams and my filmmaking.
Thank you so much for sharing your amazing work and your dreaming with us. I love that dream theme. That is so obvious through everything too. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Our final presentation tonight is from Grantee LIPING VONG, whose stories are informed by personal experiences, Chinese and Laotian culture and folklore, Taoist philosophy, anarchism, challenging isolation and individualism of technology, connecting people in real life, anti-authoritarianism, anti-colonialism, and collective joy. They're inspired by the work of Donna Oblongata, Monkey Bear, New Orleans Giant Puppet Festival, Be Outside culture of warmer places like in the Global South, Bread and Puppet Theater, and how neighbors create ripples of cultural change here in the Midwest. Vong's lineages inspire their work to be anything and everything, influencing them to imagine and create outside of genre, to be as multifaceted, complex, simple, and silly as they want to be.
Hi, can you hear me? Thumbs up. Okay, cool. Can I share my screen? I'm going to share my screen. Hi to the 3 people who are here and the 1 person who showed up who disappeared, but that's okay. I'm going to share my screen. Oop. And then share sound, share. All right. Ooh, I'm going to keep the chat or the chat and the what's it called? The chat open. That's the only one I can keep open right now. So if anyone has questions, just pop them in the chat. Cool. And then thumbs up, thumbs down, you can see? I can only see Jen. Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Ooh, let's rearrange some of this. Hi, my name is LIPING VONG. I'm gonna start off with become undefinable. I oftentimes get put in a box or we oftentimes get put in boxes that we don't necessarily think that we're supposed to be in, but yeah, so yeah. Blah, 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 blah. These are the things that I'm going to talk about today. Number 1, who am I? Number 2, I'm going to share a core memory of mine. Number 3, I'm going to share one singular aha moment. And number 4, we're going to talk about my art today. So number 1, who am I? My parents, their families refuged from Laos. We're Chinese from Laos by way of Vietnam and China. They refuged in the 70s and 80s to Des Moines, Iowa, where they met. And that's where I was born and I grew up. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist. I'm sure a lot of us do want to be artists. But I told my parents I wanted to be a bus driver because our bus driver was super cool. And my dad was like, no, that doesn't make any money. And I was like, okay, whatever. 5-year-old LIPING's like, oh, I want to be an artist. And parents are like, no, that doesn't make any money. I'm like, okay, cool. Dreaming, scheming. Fast forward to college, where I went to Iowa State for graphic design, where I could do art that makes money, essentially. That's what graphic design is in my mind. The core memory I'm going to share with you is when I was in college and I had gotten into the graphic design program. I was only familiar at the time with Photoshop. I only heard of Photoshop and I hadn't really used it, but I was like, oh, I know what Photoshop is. Yeah. But I got my computer and I opened it up, and at the bottom of the screen was this rainbow suite of letters I had never really associated with design. And I noticed that a lot of my classmates were already very proficient in all of these programs. Whereas like I was very far behind, essentially, from my classmates, and that really sucks, for lack of a better term. So because of that, I became hyper aware of like people's varying access, capital A access to things. And then I became super interested in helping people who were like me get access to those things by mentoring, becoming probably too involved in things, and like networking, whatever that means. Those are stories for another time. If you want to hear more, just let me know. Pop it in the chat. You can email me. But yeah, so we'll go to the next thing. My one aha moment. In college, my senior year, I studied abroad in Rome, and our project for that semester was to brand a park, a piazza. I chose to brand Piazza Vittorio, which is close to the train station, and it was where a lot of Chinese people and Chinese immigrants and refugees from East Africa were. They, just kind of ended up in that neighborhood. And it was labeled as seedy, it's like a bad neighborhood. We know what that means, right? Anyway, so I was like, oh, I want to do this park. And essentially, I just wanted to go research the park and go so I could research the park and also buy my groceries at the same time, because there are a lot of like Chinese merchants and stuff like that. Here's some photos of the park. The park originally had its park and then a market in there, and then they split the two. So now it's, where's my cursor? There's the park with the aqueduct Rome ruins and a fake statue that they put in there to make it look old. Here's the market and a photo of the market. I came up with this logo. Sorry, I don't have a higher version of this because it's like from college. And while I was doing this project, I was like, what is even the point? Like, why do we even need to brand a space like this? What did I put here? I had to for a school project, had to graduate. And then I felt that I knew there was something bigger and more effective to get people engaged in this space, because I think that was what the professors were thinking. So I had considered programming for that space. So because it's two very distinct parts of the park. We've got our market and the park itself. What I had imagined was creating events or experiences that involved both. So here you'll see on the left, this poster, we've got a split screen of on the top, we've got images of Lunar New Year, and then on the bottom, we've got food that you can, part of it's like, you can learn to make some of this food, or you can buy it from the market, and just come and be in the space with us. The second poster I designed or the second program I was like envisioning was a movie film festival. So films in the park and then get food at the market or something. Yeah, so that was like my aha moment. Like, what's even the point? Like, how do we get people out into these spaces? Today, let's see, what do I have here? I've got my art for today. Ooh, how much time do I have left? Am I good? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I got my puppetry start. I'm a puppeteer performer at Monkey Bear's Harmonic Workshop, which I'm here in the space right now. Here. So this is the first thing that I made. It's called Arty Dreams of Laos. On the left-hand side, you'll see me doing shadow puppets with Wan Vu. This is the very first iteration of this fish puppet. He started as a shadow puppet, and then as I developed this piece, he grew into an oversized fish that swam out towards the audience and played with the audience. Which one is this? Crucial Excursions. This one was created, this is a piece created by Chimindewanduragala. It's a bunch of vignettes that follow a couple different characters. One is, I don't remember what we were calling this one, but it's like a little baby puppet. This is with Andrew Young, and that's me. There's like a cool guitar boat that the puppet swims away in, floats away in. On the right, we've got this puppet by Ty Chapman, or who's being puppeted by Ty Chapman. Callie Melvin is doing shadow puppets. And then there's a 3-person puppet here with Juan Vu, Antoine Martino, and myself. This piece was written and created by Juan Vu and Andrew Young. I think actually Juan Vu and Charlie McCarran. And I did some shadow puppet stuff here. There's Juan. Hi, Juan. Through Monkey Bear, we had a mentor named Liz, called Liz Howells, and she created this large scale shadow puppet piece called Bug Girl, and I was the Bug Girl. So that's me, and that's me yawning. Some of the questions that I ask in my work, I'm just going to read these really quick. In what ways are people compartmentalized, and how can we dispel separation? So I've got a couple listed: audience versus performer, print versus digital, dancer versus puppeteer, international American, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the second question I have is, what needs to happen in order to bring people out? You know, back to my aha moment back in Rome. And things that I often think about are know your neighbors, presence. What does presence mean when you're out in the world? Play. And then I have another et cetera here. The next few things I'm going to share are focused on audience performer dichotomies, false dichotomies, and dancer puppeteer false dichotomies. Also keeping in mind, know your neighbors, presence, play, blah, blah, blah. The first project I'm going to show you is called The Legend of White Diamond. It's an audience interactive shadow puppet show for the Valentine Cabaret in 2022. It's a shadow puppet show about my dog, Eddie, he's black and white and he's got a white diamond on his butt. The audience created the soundscape for this piece. So I was puppeting and they would all do to create the wind, or they made lightning clap. And whenever they heard me, the narrator, say white diamond, they had to say right after. So play. Let's see. In Absentia is a multi-form puppet show that I created for Puppet Lab in 2022. This is a show about my grandma and moving her from her apartment into a 24-hour care facility. There's a lot of like, it's hard for anyone to move. So, and I don't live in Des Moines anymore. Obviously, I'm here, but so I just made a piece about that. On the left, you'll see me and Monkey King puppet. On the right, you'll see a grandma puppet looking at some lungs projection. Here on the left, you'll see me puppeting this puppet. She's supposed to be an interpretation of Nuwa, which is the Chinese, in Chinese folklore, she's like the mother goddess of humanity. And she makes people out of clay. So there's some clay here. And then there's Big Monkey King picking his nose. The next project is called Pizza and Puppets in the Park. Make a pizza, stay for puppets. And this one's kind of self-explanatory. It's literally just pizza and puppets in multiple parks in the Twin Cities. 3 parks. Okay, not multiple. It's 3. So the first one is, this image is me yapping at everyone in the audience in Powderhorn Park. We had this really beautiful like curtain and a little table for folks who needed to puppet on a table. Here, I can zoom in. That's where the pizza was. Yeah. On the left, you'll see Tyler Kuchide, who is our pizza slinger with our pizza bags here. Free pizza. It was free pizza for everyone. And then we've got some kids who are just hanging out with us. That's my little sister. You can't see her face, but she flew in from Connecticut to help and hang out. Let's see. There's a puppet parade, which was one of the performances in the parade. It was, or in the show, there were 6 performers with short form puppet shows that were audience. They had to be audience interactive. Let's see. Oh, 3 more minutes. Okay, I'll go fast. They had to be audience interactive. So this parade was one of them. We had a band, a live band. Here's a photo of Sofia Padilla and Iñaki Blanco puppeting their show called Cat Disaster. This is a neighbor who offered to come out and paint faces. She was like, I can do this. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, come, please. The show is called Musical on University Ave, I think. Anyway, it was a sing-along. It was great. And then this piece is by Michelle Space. This is Ruby, and she flies through the audience collecting pieces of her heart, or yeah, of her heart. Here's the stuff that I designed for it, because I did go to design school. So I was like, okay, I might as well design stuff for it. We've got posters. We had a play, like I asked Chimindika to create a playlist for us. My friend Keith created some animations. I designed this pizza bag, but it was printed by Amilado Press, Nancy Ariza. Here's some Facebook stuff. And then here's some, oh, I forgot to censor this, but here's some return address labels because they're cute. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to show you is the most recent thing that I did. It's called, it's a demon candy shoot. Zambila, a giant mask that pukes, and it was for Halloween. I'm going to quickly just share this video.
Oh, it's so cool.
Oops. Okay. Yeah. So essentially, I'll zoom in. That's supposed to be a tongue. It doesn't really look like a tongue. But then, you know, kids will come by and they had to cast a spell in order to get candy or sauce packets. We had a projector. We were trying to project flames. Yeah, the horns come out. It was a bunch of my neighbors coming together to make this stupid thing that I wanted to make. So that's what it is. Here's photos of us in my apartment. The thing without the horns was 8 feet tall. So yeah, there's, you know, my neighbors in the apartment. This is my neighbor's dog, Jackson, the foreman. This is my dog, Eddie, the studio manager. Oops. Let's see, a few more in progress photos. Again, Eddie, the studio manager. So bad. And then at the end, when we were done with it, we set it on fire. This is where you saw how big it is. It's not gonna live in my apartment. Like, absolutely not. So yeah, that's it. Okay, thanks.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. If anyone has questions, please drop them in the chat or in the Q&A, either one. I've got some questions for you all, if you wouldn't mind bringing your cameras back on. The first thing for everyone is, what is coming up for you this year that you're really excited about? And maybe Yonci and Em, we can start with you.
Definitely has something to
Oh,
share.
so recently I had the opportunity to score my first feature-length film. It's called Assembly, and it's going to be premiering at South by Southwest in March. So I'm really excited about that.
It's a documentary.
It's a documentary about a show that I worked on at the Park Avenue Armory for an artist named Rashad Newsome. And it's kind of like following Rashad's life and artistic practice. and it is centering like the impact of Black trans and queer culture like on a global scale. So there's like a Vogue dancer from Poland and a Vogue dancer from Japan and from Brazil who came, and there was like probably I think like 10 instrumentalists, like a harp, um, guitar, drums, violin, all types of things in a choir. So it was a documentary of that, and then just some more like narrative stuff. But yeah, so it'll be premiering. Yonci and I are gonna go down to um, see the premiere, and yeah.
Yes, I'm really excited for that. I'm excited with regard to Studio Irasima. I'm excited for the next iteration of programming and to come do a DJ workshop, hopefully. And I also, oh, okay. I also, I personally am, I was like, I wasn't prepared to talk about this. What's next for me? I recently was, well, I don't know if I can say, I don't know if it's been announced, but I'm going on a retreat, a writing retreat with a certain organization soon. So I'm really excited. That's what I'll share.
Congratulations on both of those things. Really, really amazing. So exciting. Way to go. That's just awesome. Really awesome. And Yancy, I can't wait until you can actually announce the whole thing. Tahiel, what about you? What do you have coming up that you are excited about this year?
Well, this year I'm prepping to potentially shoot my first feature next summer in 2026 here in Minnesota. So it feels like a huge step, and yeah, I'm really excited. I feel really supported in community. So yeah, that's what I'm excited for this year to prep it, and I'm excited for next year to make it happen, hopefully.
Any teasers about what the film will include?
Yeah, it's an extended universe of Lengua, the short film I talked about. So it lives within that world of the immigrant teenager coming to Minnesota for the first time, having like total culture shock and like everything shock because of the weather and everything, and then that process of like meeting each other for almost like the first time again after many years of separation, and also navigating like immigrant friendship in the face of everything that is happening in the country too.
Amazing. Very excited for that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Liping, what do you have coming up?
I'm excited for spring. I'm a little bit over winter, yeah. And also it is the year of the snake, which is my year. So I'm trying to see what happens this year in terms of like how, like what do I do? How do I get out? How do I bring people out come springtime? Because it's too cold to, I think it's too cold to be out right now.
Today for sure it is. And I think spring comes around and everybody's ready to be outside. So even just the sun sometimes can help get us outdoors. But yeah, I'm with you. Spring is exciting. So you all got grants from Forecast. If you had to give someone advice on grant writing for a project, what would be like one thing that you would tell them? And whoever wants to go right ahead.
I would say ask for help.
I was gonna say
Because
that.
I initially I was gonna apply to this by myself, and then I was like, my dear partner Yancy is so skilled at grant writing and things like that. And so like Yancy helped me write the both forecast grants, and we also applied for an MRAC grant that crossing fingers we get. And so yeah, I would, that's what I would say. If you can pay someone to help, that's like amazing, because it's also just like helping people in the community get work, but also like, if somebody wants to help out of the kindness of their heart, asking for help.
I would also add accepting help as somebody who is a perfectionist and has control issues. Like, accept help in any form. Even if that's just a convo, if that's just a skim and a chat, I feel like it's really important to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, just release so much of the seriousness and really center in on like why, and yeah, talk to your people, but accepting help is great. It's a great start.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. Ask for help. Don't wait until the last minute. I tend to do that, so it's nice to be around people who aren't quite like that. And that could be one of the things you ask for help for.
And I would say if you can read some application, like read some sample applications. I'm not sure which organizations offer that publicly, but I know the Minnesota State Arts Board has some sample applications. And what I've come to think about in terms of grant writing, it's actually a lot about case making. So just like making an argument as to why you should receive this grant. And I'll leave it at that.
Great advice, everybody. And I'll just put a plug. I'm the manager of the grant program here at Forecast. If you're thinking about applying to one of our grants, please reach out to me. I love talking to people and understanding what it is that they want to write their grant for and helping answer any questions. So please reach out to me if you're interested in our grants. Let's ask one more question. I'm curious, again, for all of you. How do you see your practice continuing to grow, and how do you think about sustainability within that practice? That's a big question. We've got like 2 minutes. But if you've been thinking about this within your practice, what does that look like? Yeah, go ahead, Liping.
I might counter that with, is growth sustainable?
Great, great counter.
Does it have to grow?
Let me rephrase the question. How are you sustaining your practice moving forward, whether it's growing or not? Maybe that's a better question.
I'll say a conversation I've been ruminating a lot on as performers is to center on the practice, not the performance, and get into a habit and get into all the things that come with the anticipation of a performance. I find that I feel most affirmed and inspired and like just motivated to create when there's not an end point. And I understand like this is a grant and we've had, very clear schedule delineations, but for me the practice, the sustaining is that, again, the why am I doing this, where is this coming from, and focusing more on the process, besides the process rather than the presentation, and that being like a process of actually doing the art, and then the process of just being yourself and feeling your feelings like throughout it. So that's how I intend to move forward, trying to focus less on performance and more on practice and process. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like in the name of like what we talk about, like when it's like, this is my practice, like, actually practicing that thing like on a daily basis or however often you have access to it. It's like, I think it's hard for a lot of people to do that when it's like I working a day job or like doing these things that we have to do. So I feel like I'm trying to like create more capacity for myself to be in practice like as often as possible, because I feel like right now it's still kind of like touch and go. Like when I have an opportunity to get paid to do something, I'm a lot more motivated to like practice. It's like practice because is just like doing it. But I'm trying to create more space to just like create things right without the like, this has to be a finished product soon.
And I also want to add, like, I know a lot of people are trying to survive right now, and I've been trying to see my practice, my bass clarinetism and drumming and like just jamming as a part of my survival, as a part of my healing, because I feel like, and again, that's a very like, I will say it's a very privileged position, but I also know that so much of our community who are having these extenuating circumstances, like when it becomes a part of the survival or a thing that's like, I need this to find some solace, you know what I'm saying? Like that can be so much more impactful, or that can be just as impactful as, you know, having other needs met, I will say. So just thought.
I'll share that it's really inspiring to be in community with other artists who are making similar work. So I feel I can get a little boost of inspiration and wanting to return to my work when I see other people who inspire me and who are also in my community. I feel like, oh wow, they're doing cool things. I want to go and do cool things too.
Thank you so much, everyone, for for being here and sharing this space, but also for all of the incredible work that you're doing. You are so important. Your work is so important. And I feel so honored to have spent this time with you. So thank you for everything, and excited to continue to watch what you're
And
doing.
thank you, Jen, for your support throughout this process. It's been so helpful. You are definitely that person for real. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great
So
night.
much.
Bye.
Bye.